an alternative for positive thinking. Now, positive thinking is apparently the thing that you absolutely must do nowadays if you want to feel better about any situation in which you're having a hard time. And for those people who are able to simply think positively and make the best out of a bad situation just by thinking positively, genuinely, I'm delighted for you. And I can't actually say that without it sounding like I'm being really sarcastic, but genuinely, I am delighted for you. See, even that sounded sarcastic. But if you can do that, that's fantastic. It just sounds sarcastic, however I say it, but I do mean it. However, constant positive thinking is very, very hard work, especially if you're someone who is not used to doing it, especially if you're someone who's having a hard time as well. That's why in this video, I'm going to give you an alternative to positive thinking, which I think is actually a much better thing to do. But first, I have a question. Is constant positive thinking actually good for you? Now, I don't want you to think for a single second that I'm hating on positive thinking. Like I said, if you can do it, then it is great. Fantastic. See, even that sounded sarcastic. If you're doing it and it's working for you, then keep doing it. So I'm really clear on that. So I'm not hating on it whatsoever. But if you're someone who suffers with depression or anxiety, or you're going through grief, or you're feeling guilty about something, or you're just having a hard time financially, or you've got any number of different things going on in your life, it is really, really difficult, perhaps nearly impossible, to start thinking positively. It's not a switch you can just flick in your head and all of a sudden you're thinking positively. It isn't as simple as that. But I am a strong believer in that finding the positives is a very good thing. In fact, on a personal note, every day for the last 21, 22 months, I have finished my day and I cannot finish the day without doing this. I finish the day by going on my phone, going on the notes, and actually typing down all of the positive things that have happened in that day, no matter how small. It's one of the things I do to keep my mental health in check. So I am a strong believer in finding the positives, but that's slightly different to constant positive thinking. But I do believe in positivity. Thinking positively is definitely not a bad thing. However, believing that positive thinking can make any situation better, I simply don't think that's actually true in all circumstances, and in quite a lot of circumstances, actually. Awkward. When people say about constant positive thinking, the image I get in my head is of the character Joy from Inside Out. And if you haven't seen Inside Out, it's brilliant. So do please check that out. But Joy is literally her character is the emotion of happiness existing in a young girl's head, and she runs around happily. Everything's great, and she's positive thinking. She's happy. She's literally happy. The embodiment of what happiness would be like. And according to this, this character Joy, to make anything better, all you have to do is be happy and just make happiness happen. But what if you've lost your job? What if you're going through financial ruin? What if you don't know where your next meal is coming from? What if you can't afford your heating bill? What if you can't, what if you just are struggling with life? What if you just lost a loved one? What if you've had a really horrible medical diagnosis? What if you found out you can never walk again? You just think positively in those instances, and all of a sudden everything's better. It just doesn't sit right with me that should be the answer to when you're going through something that bad. Because how do you just think positively in that situation? I honestly believe that, and I'm going to get some weird comments. Please leave them below. I'm going to get some weird comments on this. I'm going to get some interesting, but there is beauty in our ugly emotions. Now, in the film Inside Out, there's a character called Sadness who is the embodiment of sadness, and she mopes around sad, and Joy, the character, literally sees no point in her. What does she do? What's the point in her? She doesn't understand the point in sadness, because all she does is mope around sad and make everything worse. So she just doesn't get her. But we have these emotions. We have jealousy, we have guilt, we have sadness, we have fear. All these emotions going on, which if you're just this positive thinker who thinks positive all the time, you're just kind of pushing these these emotions, these human emotions, just pushing them to one side. No, you be happy, you think happy, and you don't have to worry about all those emotions. I'm not entirely sure that's healthy, because all these different emotions have a very, very clear purpose. Jealousy can actually point us in the direction of what we really want in life. Guilt reminds us of our core values and our moral compass and makes sure that we're kind of pointing in the right direction. And because it says, look, you didn't do this right. So that's what guilt does for us. Fear tries to keep us safe. Anger lets us display the fact that our boundaries have been crossed, we've been treated badly or been disrespected, and that we simply won't stand for it. Sadness lets us show that we are struggling and allows us and makes it easier for us to reach out and get the help that we need. So all of these emotions that I just said, they all sound really bad. The guilt, the fear, the jealousy, it all sounds like a bad thing. But when you look at what the purpose of those emotions are, you can see that there is actually positive to come out of them. However, you do have to go through that emotion and, feeling that horrible feeling in your stomach of guilt or whatever it might be. You have to go through that emotion in order to get the positive out from the other side. So what is my alternative to positive thinking? So if you really struggle with the idea of positive thinking, then my simple solution is you don't have to think positively all the time, but you do have to stop complaining. Complaining about your issues, complaining about your life, complaining about what's going on. That's it. It's that simple. But let me explain a little bit further. It means that you don't have to walk around with this big fake smile on your face pretending that you're thinking positive and everything's going all right when you're actually really, really struggling and you're dying inside. But it also means you don't sit there whinging and complaining about what is going on in your life either. It's actually incredible how this subtle switch up can actually change how you act, how you behave, and how you interact with people as well. So rather than just finding positivity and thinking positively, what you're doing by stopping yourself from complaining is you're actually driving out the negativity. So rather than got to be positive, it's more like let's not be negative. And then by being less negative, you become more positive because, they're exact opposites. So you've got less of one, you're going to have more of the other. Furthermore, it's going to change how you interact with the people that you talk to. We've all had these situations where you've got someone who's got a lot going on and you meet up with them and they just go, oh yeah, and then this happened, and then oh god, it was awful, and then then I matched this person, but they probably got the message of me, and then I got this bill to pay, and I'm not sure how to do it, and then someone wants me to do this, and it's not a conversation. It's a situation where someone is just dumping all their shit from their mouth onto you. There's not a single attempt to resolve any of the problems. It's literally just flat out complaining about what is going on in your life. That's what that is. But by removing the complaining, if you stopped complaining, but you still spoke about what was going on for you, what you're doing is you're removing the negativity, as I mentioned a minute ago, but also by recognizing when you're complaining and when you're not. If you stop complaining but continue to talk about your problem, you become a lot more solution focused. So rather than just whining about something being bad, you're actually looking for a way to stop it being bad and try to make the situation better. So you can talk about your problem still, but just do it without complaining. There is, I admit, a fine line between complaining and trying to solve a problem. So if you've got a good relationship with the person you're talking to, you can even say, do I sound like I'm complaining right now, or do I sound like I'm trying to solve the problem? And get them to answer honestly. Or maybe if you feel like they're going to say, oh no, of course you're not complaining, even when you are, then look into yourself. Be honest with yourself and say, am I complaining at the moment? And if you are, stop it. Positive thinking is genuinely great if it's something that you can get on board with and do. So if you can do it, keep doing it. No hate, no disrespect whatsoever. It's a great thing. If it's working for you, it's working for you. Brilliant. Again, even then sounding sarcastic. I'm not being sarcastic about it. But if you cannot do it, if you just find it impossible just to think positively, then the best thing you can do is to remove as much negativity from the situation and your life as you possibly can. And the best way I see to do that is to stop the complaining, stop whining about what's going on with your life, and start becoming a lot more solution focused. Now, one of the things that can really help with regards to not complaining is to increase how grateful you are. Increase your level of gratitude. So I put a link to a blog that I've written all about that. You can find that in the show notes below. And also, one of the things that people struggle with is the idea of accepting their situation because they don't like it. So again, I've linked a blog all about acceptance in the show notes as well. So do check that out. Now, if you're in a situation where you want to feel better, you're having trouble accepting it, or you want to feel more grateful, and you'd like to have a chat with me about life coaching or hypnotherapy, then do please get in touch. I'll put a link in the show notes below as well. Get in touch. You can have a completely free one-on-one chat with me to see if we're a good fit, see if we can work together, and see what we can do. Also, if you're suffering with anxiety, then do please check out my completely free anxiety toolkit. There is a link for that below as well. Thanks very much for listening, and I will catch you again soon.